Hello, everybody. It is 9:10 a.m. Central Time on the 30th of October, 2020. It's Friday here in the United States, and I do have some breaking news for you. A couple hours ago, the biggest earthquake to strike in Europe in years has struck in South Europe in the Aegean Sea at Greece-Turkey border region. Check it out. There it is, 7.0 earthquake. And this did cause devastating damage in the region. You guys can look it up on the mainstream media, but I'm more interested in the seismic aspect on this. Of course, when we get a very large earthquake like this, it's usually a sign of seismic unrest spreading out across the area. Let me show you where the earthquake struck. Here's where the USGS has it in relation to the plate boundary. You'll get a display capture turned on here so you can see what I see a little bit better. And here's Italy, here's Greece, here's Turkey. So really, this is right next to Turkey. And I think this is the Isle of Lesbos, actually, believe it or not. And then going back across over to the east, we have the red line of the plate boundary that connects back over to Iran, connects back over to the east, all the way over to Indonesia, ultimately to the West Pacific. And this 7.0 earthquake is the second 7.0 range earthquake we've had this week, basically, or just a little over a week. We have to go back about 10 days, and we had a 7.0, 7.6 strike up in Alaska with tsunami. So two sides of the planet experiencing 7.0 range earthquakes in approximately the past 10 or 11 days. One up here in Alaska, the other over here in Europe. So now when I look at this, again, 7.0 range, we need to go look and see, is there any other spread that could take place going on across Europe after this 7? And of course there is. Look where the arrows are. This is at the mouth of the beginning of the river that flows out around Europe. There's three directions on this, one up into Romania, one up into Bosnia, the other over into Italy. And then again, all three are shown here, at least on the edge of the plate, one up into Romania, one up into Bosnia, the other over into Italy. We have arrows on my map which show which direction we expect, and the USGS doesn't have anything there, of course, because they don't expect any flow at all. So where did the 7 come from? I'll have to say we can trace the 7 back all the way over to here, where we had a boatload of deep earthquakes. Several deep earthquakes on our letter D here and our letter D here. So two sets of deep earthquakes, both going into the 5 and 6.0 range in the past 10 days, has led to these different 7s spreading out across the planet. Again, one 7 going up to Alaska, the other 7 going all the way perimeter out over into Greece. I don't think we're done yet. I think there'll be other compensation on this with our big, deep earthquake activity. At this point, though, I would like to go look this up on the mainstream media, see if they have any news on it. There probably is a lot, but let's just find out. Yeah. Topples buildings in Turkey, guys. Look at this. This is just from Yahoo News of all things. And even Yahoo News has this. Let's just turn down the volume on this, of course. Oh, wow. They don't have any problem putting an ad on it. Well, look at that. I mean, we've got pictures of collapsed buildings, but I need some pictures. I don't want to get jogging pants on that. I'm not going to be buying any jogging pants right now. So looking at the pictures, this is a recent picture here. That's all we need to see right there. That alone right there lets us know just insane damage on the 7. And I'm not going to go try and step on copyrights and get people's videos or pictures. That's for the news channels to do. Again, this is just seismic related. This is on the plate boundary. This is the second 7 in about 10 or 11 days. We went months without any. And then we return in earnest when we have our big, deep earthquake activity. And let's just look over the last week and just show you our deep earthquakes that are currently raised high off the globe. So you can see it. We have stacks of deep earthquakes on our letter Ds, which is spots where we expect new deep earthquakes to take place. The amount of aftershocks on this is going to carry on. I would say it would carry on for weeks with aftershocks. We normally see that at least carry on for several days. We have to watch for 1 magnitude less movement going on across Europe in the past, well, in the next week. And in the past week, we've seen only 4.0 range activity go across Europe. So we're going to expect a 2 magnitude increase to go on over into Romania, over into Italy, and into Bosnia. 2 magnitudes from where they are now. So let's just use Romania as an example here. In the eastern part of Europe, 4.4. The potential to go 2 magnitudes higher, up to 6.4 in Romania, in the next week is there. Same with Bosnia, same with Europe. We could see 3 upper 5s to low 6s strike across Europe in the next week. And by the next week, I really mean it, so in the next 7 days, by November 6th. So a 7, the biggest earthquake in years in South Europe, following our other 7, again, half a planet away over in Alaska. And it really is almost exactly on the opposite side of the planet. I mean, not the exact opposite, but the opposite side of the planet. It's amazing to see this happen. Where did it come from? If you're new here and you didn't know about the deep 6s, this is again something that you guys are talking about in chat right now. But where did it come from? It came from our deep 6s from, well, now over 2 weeks ago, 14 days ago. We had our big push come up from below the plate. I would think that we would also spread out to South America, and we would also see something of similar size between Central and South America at the middle fulcrum points, and that puts Chile and Ecuador in the mix as 2 spots to watch for an additional 7 to take place. I think we'll see 3 7s overall off of these deep 6s that have taken place. So far we've had 2, and there should be 1 more over in the East Pacific between Central and South America compensation. And then we talked about the United States this past week as well because of our Alaska movement and our plate shifting in the United States. When you see a 7 in Europe, and it's the biggest one in years to take place, and you see a 7 up in Alaska, and it's the biggest one in years in Alaska to take place, I would tell you, you need to watch in whatever area you are, based upon the red lines or the plate boundaries that I talk about all the time, and we'll show them to you again right now. The red line map. If you live along one of these red lines, which there's a fair amount of them, but they're not everywhere, or if you live along a craton edge interior where we have our red arrows, you need to pay attention to the seismic increase that is currently taking place. Tsunamis, 7.6s, 7.0s, Greece devastated, Turkey devastated. And we're not done yet. Again, we're going to see upper 5s to low 6s go over into Romania, up into Bosnia, and up into Italy. Where in Italy? I have to warn between Turin and Milan on the north side and Campobasso on the south side, with Norcia right in the middle, unfortunately. And for Romania, I have to warn south and east Romania. Again, this is all for the same size. And then in between the two, right where the little arrow is, that's Bosnia. So it's going to be a spacing of 3 different noteworthy sized earthquakes in the next week. And I don't want you to get caught off guard. But you shouldn't be, because you know there's a 7 just to your south. So when you feel movement compensating up your way, just a few hundred miles to the north, you won't be totally blown away by that. You will be ready for it. Okay? So this earthquake struck about 3 hours ago at this point, and it's now daytime, of course, around noon. Wait, what time is it over in Europe? 3 p.m. over in Europe. So middle of the afternoon. I guess the only good news on this is that it struck right around noon-ish their time. So it wasn't the middle of the night. People were able to get outside quickly. Not everybody, of course, but the good news is that some people were at least able to do something, as opposed to when it's the middle of the night and an earthquake hits, even the most prepared people can get caught off guard. Okay, I'm going to save this as a video. We do have other activity that struck. For instance, a 5.9 striking out here between our letter X's. Let's just call that a 6. And over here, deep earthquake activity. Deep 5s hammering off since last night. So deep 5s, that means we're going to be seeing additional large earthquake activity spread out from the West Pacific. Again, this started last night with the new deep 5s. So deep 5s, we have to watch. Shallow 7s in Europe, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And you saw the devastating damage. You don't need to, imagine some kind of collapsed buildings. They are just probably all over the place there, since we know they do cinder block and concrete stack, concrete pour buildings. That reminds me, you need to have an earthquake plan to deal with these things. Of course, you know where you live, but think about where you work or where you go during the day. And you have to be ready at any moment's notice to go out a certain exit and know where you're going to go. In an earthquake, you don't want to be running around and try to find a spot, especially if you're in an unfamiliar area. So survey your areas beforehand. Just like a fire drill, you need to know which door you could go out, and you need to know what's outside that door. Now, finally, you need an emergency kit. And for my European viewers, perfect timing is now. Develop your emergency kits. Change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries, first aid, sanitation, food and water for a few days. These are just basics. Put it into a bag. Have it ready to go. That way you can grab it at a moment's notice, and you can use it for severe weather, you can use it for a flood or a fire evacuation, and of course, for an earthquake. And whether you grab it before the earthquake or after the earthquake, you'll still be way better off than most of the people around you who don't prepare for anything. Now, were we watching for a 7 down in Europe? No. I was watching for an upper 5 to low 6. Coming in here at Cyprus. We warned right here, Cyprus, Turkey. And instead it hit here at Lesbos, Turkey. But that is within a magnitude of what we were looking for. If I'm looking for an upper 5 to low 6, and an upper 6 to low 7 comes in, that's a magnitude larger than what we were expecting. A full magnitude larger. 10 times more power than we were expecting. But it's spot on in the country. We warned Turkey. And the Isle right here. So that is close enough for me. If it's within the magnitude. Now, I don't think that's 200 miles. I think that's over 200 miles. Pretty sure about that. I think it's 350. That's just a guess. Just a random guess on the distance. But let's find out. Cyprus to the earthquake epicenter. I have to see how far off I was. So let's do that. And it's important to know, by the way, when I do forecasting and I get a location or I get a country right, that's good. That's really good. If I get it down to the country on something that people said was impossible to do, that's awesome. I'm trying to get it down to a 200-mile stretch, but that might be a pipe dream at some point here. There we are. So there's Samos and... yeah, it's right there. Okay, so let's measure. Again, I just got to survey the area. By the way, word has reached me that they are worried about some kind of eruption. Yeah, 380 miles to Cyprus. What did I say, 350? That was a good guess. And I'm trying to get it down to about 200. So if I'm 100-something, 180 miles off, yeah, that's the earthquake we're looking for. And it's just a little bit bigger than expected. But I heard about them talking about a volcano here in the Aegean Sea. I don't see it marked here on Google Earth. I sure don't see it marked, but don't know the name of it. It just reached me this past week that people were talking about potential eruptions in the Aegean Sea, the Greece government. The Hellenic Seismic Agency, I think is what they're called. So let's just recap one more time. The largest earthquake in years struck in the Aegean Sea. USGS has it listed as Greece, but really those are Turkish Isles. It's right there along the Turkey border, right there along the shores of Turkey. Devastating damage in Turkey. This magnitude might go up or down. They could bring it down into the 6 range or take it up into the low 7, but right now it's at 7.0 exactly. This came from a flow coming out of Europe, out of the Middle East, which then itself came out of the West Pacific, where our deep earthquakes have been hammering in on the underside of the plate. The same movement that caused activity up here in Alaska, the deep sixes, has caused a 7 over at Turkey. We had warned the Isle of Cyprus, and then finally, let's get in here and look at the magnitude list. Look at our technical details origin page. And, oh, they're not showing us how they're coming to their determination. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, let's go to the body magnitude list, which is what I would call the low ball list. Or either of them. Either of them. Well, hold on. Sorry if I coughed into your ear there, guys. Again, I'm still waking up, believe it or not. I just rolled out of bed not too long ago. But going down the list, we're going to throw out the high end, and we're going to throw out the low end. And already I'm seeing at the high end, we have 7.5, 7.3s. We'll take those out of there. So toss out all the 7.3s, 7.4s, and 7.5s. But we'll also toss out the 6.8s, 6.9s. That leaves us with 7 to 7.1. As an average, just between all the stations. Again, when you have this many, and the highest they're going is 7.5, and the lowest they're going is 6.8, we go between them, and that puts it at 7 to 7.1. So it's an amazing thing going on. Again, huge earthquake, biggest in years in Europe, and there's likely some major injuries, unfortunately, on this, guys, or worse. Now, let me just end this really quick by telling everybody we had some breaking news last night, that's related to seismic, that's not related to this earthquake, but it's just as big of news as this earthquake. And this has to do with the USGS. Let me just end this broadcast by showing it to you on my community page over here on YouTube. October 29, 2020, yesterday, USGS director is being asked to step down by Congress over retaliation against whistleblowers at the agency. And it's just really, really bad what they've got going on at the USGS. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but Connolly in the House, and they're all calling for the USGS guy to step down. Yahoo News is doing stories on it. But the part about this that I want to show you is that the whistleblowers are being called evil by the director of the USGS, and he's moving them around and retaliating against them. We don't know what they were blowing the whistle on, but that's just as big as news as this. Again, USGS director being asked to step down as of yesterday. But this earthquake, not related to that at all. A large earthquake coming in 380 miles from my warned spot, right here. Same country. Half of a country, really, so it's half a country's distance. I warned right here in the middle, and it struck right over here on the perimeter. We warned for an upper 5 to low 6, and instead we get an upper 6 to low 7. It's going to spread across Europe, Italy, Romania, and Bosnia, and we should see upper 5s to low 6 all strike. 3 different earthquakes, most likely, strike across Europe in the next few days. And then it's not going to stop there. Those are just the biggest of the bunch. I would then look for upper 4.0 range to strike up here at the coast of Normandy, France, or maybe even going into South UK. Brits, stiff upper lip, but that's not going to protect you from the earthquake. So you need to pay attention. So watch as this goes across Europe. It's going to go into South Europe, Eastern Europe, North Europe, and then ultimately it's going to go out to the North Mid-Atlantic Ridge, North Pole, Svalbard, Iceland, Azores, where our X's are. North Pole, Iceland, Azores. All 3 X's should also see a major increase in seismic activity. They may even mistake this for a new eruption up in Iceland. They might see that in the news this week. So this is just go time, guys. This is major go time, seismic go time, and in Europe, no less. That should be a wake-up call for people on the West Coast who are just flirting around and waiting with me especially, but waiting with the plate for it to break, and for us to see something in the 7 range or greater strike in the Pacific Northwest as a result of the slow slip of our plate in the United States. That still is yet to take place. Alaska moved, right? But that's all we saw. We have not seen any continental United States activity, and that's not enough yet. We will see it. So get ready, hold on to your hats, and if anything else goes down, I'll be back on at a moment's notice. I'm going to save this as a video and upload it over on YouTube as a premiere so people can watch it back. Again, this is just an informational video showing you the earthquake, where it struck, what we warned for versus what hit, and just a little bit of damage video, or well, not even video, pictures. You guys can go source that stuff. I don't want to be showing all that on my stream unless I have permission from the people who took the pictures. Okay, guys, I'll be back. Peace out, word up, much love. Oh, and finally, don't be scared. Be prepared.